Centuries ago, humanity was banished from the Galactic Council, condemned by the advanced species who ruled the stars. At the time, humanity was viewed as primitive, savage, and unworthy of intergalactic cooperation. The Council, an alliance of powerful, technologically advanced alien races, saw in humans the potential for destruction, a species whose aggressive tendencies could harm the fragile balance of the galaxy. In a decisive vote, it was decided that humanity should be exiled, their fate sealed by the very beings who had once watched their rise from a small, war-torn world to a spacefaring civilization. The humans were cast out and confined to a remote corner of the galaxy, far from the well-established trade routes, distant from the thriving worlds of the Council members. In their exile, humanity was left to fend for itself, abandoned and forgotten by the galactic powers that believed it had no place in the greater cosmic order. But the Council's assumptions would prove to be their greatest miscalculation. Fast forward to the present day, and humanity had not only survived, but thrived. What was once a fractured, divided species, constantly torn apart by war and poverty, had transformed into something far greater. The human race, abandoned by their supposed betters, had evolved in ways unimaginable to the alien council. Left with nothing but the vastness of space and the drive to survive, humanity developed a fierce resilience, adapting and innovating faster than any of the galactic powers could have predicted. Over the course of centuries, the humans began to understand the advanced technology scattered throughout their isolated corner of the galaxy. They built ships capable of faster-than-light travel, discovered methods of energy manipulation far beyond their initial capabilities, and forged alliances with other outcast species, those who had been oppressed or forgotten by the larger galactic community. Together, they formed a coalition, an empire of sorts, a new power that now stretched across vast sectors of the galaxy. The heart of this empire stood Earth, now a beacon of human achievement. The once war-torn planet, ravaged by centuries of conflict, had become a center of learning, technology, and innovation. The capital city, New Terra, stood as a marvel of engineering. Tall, gleaming spires stretched high into the atmosphere, connected by sprawling networks of bridges and advanced transportation systems. Below, massive fleets of warships and merchant vessels moved through the sky, the hum of their engines a constant reminder of humanity's newfound power. The human empire was no longer a scattered group of colonies. It was an organized, thriving civilization with the ability to rival, or even surpass, the most advanced species in the galaxy. Yet, despite their remarkable progress, there was still a lingering sense of being outsiders. The Galactic Council, though long distant and silent, was never fully forgotten. Humanity knew the Council had exiled them not because they were weak, but because they feared what they could become. This fear, this suspicion, simmered just beneath the surface of human society. The galaxy, though vast and full of promise, was still a place of uncertainty. But the humans had their own ambitions now, no longer content with simply surviving in the shadows of the galaxy. They were ready to reclaim their place among the stars. It was on the outer rim of their empire, near the edge of the galaxy where few dared to venture, that the humans made an unexpected discovery. A fleet of human warships, conducting a routine patrol of this largely unexplored region, encountered a strange anomaly, a distortion in space-time that seemed almost unnatural. It wasn't the first time the humans had come across strange phenomena, but this one felt different. The anomaly, which appeared as a swirling vortex of energy, wasn't a natural occurrence. It seemed as though it was placed there, hidden away. As the fleet's scientists began to study the anomaly, they made a startling discovery. It wasn't just a random energy disturbance. Buried deep within the anomaly was an artifact, one that didn't belong to any known species. This wasn't just a piece of technology, It was something far older, far more powerful, and far more dangerous than anything humanity had ever encountered. The artifact was unlike anything humanity had seen before. It was massive, its surface covered in intricate patterns and symbols that seemed to shift and change as the humans studied it. At first, they thought it might be of alien origin, perhaps a relic from one of the ancient civilizations that had once ruled the stars. But as they delved deeper into its design, they began to realize that it wasn't just a piece of advanced technology, it was something much more significant. The artifact was a key, and as they pieced together the clues, they discovered that it pointed towards something hidden in the galactic core, something that had been sealed away for eons. There were hints of a power, one so immense that it could change the very fabric of reality. The artifact's true purpose, however, was still a mystery. And it was this mystery that sent ripples of excitement and fear through the human empire. The implications were enormous. The artifact's discovery didn't just promise new technology or weapons, it suggested that there were secrets buried deep within the galaxy. Secrets that could shift the balance of power forever. Humanity had always believed that the Galactic Council's fear of them was misplaced, but now they had proof that the Council's banishment had been far more than just an act of prejudice. It had been a fear of something greater, something humanity was only beginning to comprehend. The Council had known about this hidden power, and it was because of this knowledge that they had decided to exile humanity in the first place. Now, with the artifact in their hands, the humans found themselves at the brink of discovering a power that could rival anything the galaxy had ever seen. The fleet returned to human space, bringing with them the artifact, but the journey back was not without incident. Rumors of the discovery spread like wildfire, and soon the entire human empire was buzzing with anticipation. What was this artifact? What did it mean for their future? And, more importantly, what would the rest of the galaxy do once they discovered that humanity had stumbled upon something so powerful? The Galactic Council may have forgotten humanity for centuries, but they would not remain ignorant for long. As the human empire began to piece together the ancient secrets hidden within the artifact, they realized that their future was about to change in ways they could never have imagined. And so, the stage was set. Humanity's rise from exile was not a simple tale of survival. It was the beginning of a new chapter. One that would bring them face to face with the galaxy they had once been cast out from. With the artifact now in their hands, the balance of power would soon shift, and the humans would have to decide, would they use the artifact to shape the future of the galaxy, or would its secrets be too dangerous to control? The galaxy's attention was now focused on the humans, and the next move was theirs to make. The game of power was about to begin, and the once-forgotten species was no longer a pawn, they were players in a game that could change everything. As humanity's exploration team delved deeper into the mysteries of the artifact, what they uncovered left them both awestruck and terrified. For years they had known that the artifact was important, but its true significance was far beyond anything they had imagined. Through months of careful study, scanning, and deciphering, the human scientists began to unravel its complex structure. It was more than just a piece of ancient technology. It was a key, a map, a gateway to something far more powerful than any of them could have expected. The artifact, once activated, revealed a shocking truth. Hidden deep within the core of the galaxy lay a weapon of unimaginable power. The kind of power that could reshape entire star systems, that could turn the balance of the galaxy on its head. It was not just a tool of destruction, it was a tool of domination. Whoever controlled it would hold the fate of the galaxy in their hands. The realization hit the human leadership like a tidal wave. The artifact was not just a relic of an ancient civilization. It was a weapon capable of giving its wielder control over the entire galaxy. The exploration team worked tirelessly, mapping out the coordinates embedded in the artifact, trying to piece together the puzzle of this long-forgotten weapon. But as they dug deeper, they discovered something even more unsettling. The weapon was not a creation of the current civilizations, or even the ancient races that had once ruled the stars. It was older, far older. The weapon had been created by a long-extinct alien species, a race that had once dominated the galaxy before mysteriously disappearing without a trace. Records found within the artifact revealed that this species had once been the rulers of the galaxy. But their reign had come to an abrupt end, their existence wiped from the galaxy's memory. It seemed as though they had vanished deliberately, leaving behind only cryptic clues about their technology and their downfall. The humans found themselves caught in the midst of a great mystery. Who were these beings? And why had they created such a dangerous weapon in the first place? Was it their downfall that led to its abandonment? Or had something else caused their disappearance? The deeper the humans dug, the more they realized that this was not just a question of power, it was a question of survival. As the truth emerged, humanity's leadership began to understand the full scope of their exile. It wasn't just a punishment. The humans had been banished from the Galactic Council, not out of prejudice alone, but out of fear. The Council had seen humanity not as a savage race, but as a potential threat, one that could rise and challenge the established order of the galaxy. It wasn't humanity's violence that terrified the Council. Rather, it was their ability to adapt, innovate, and thrive in the face of adversity. The humans were capable of surviving in situations where other species would have perished, capable of turning their weaknesses into strengths. The Council, in its wisdom, had predicted that humanity would one day reach a point where their ingenuity, their drive to survive, and their relentless pursuit of progress would make them a force to be reckoned with. And when that day came, the Council feared that humanity would not only challenge them, they would surpass them. The exile, it turned out, was not just a way to punish humanity for their perceived savagery. It was a preemptive strike, a way to keep the humans at bay, to ensure that they would never grow powerful enough to disrupt the delicate balance of power in the galaxy. The Council had cast humanity out, not because they were a threat at that time, but because they feared what humanity might become. But now, with the discovery of the artifact, everything had changed. Humanity was no longer the weak, fractured species they had once been. The humans who had once been scattered across isolated planets, struggling to survive, had now united under one banner, their empire stretching across vast sectors of the galaxy. They had mastered technology that rivaled the greatest civilizations. They had formed alliances with outcasts, rogue species who had been shunned by the Council. They had become something new, something powerful. And with the artifact in their hands, humanity had the potential to rise to even greater heights. But this was a power that came with great responsibility and great danger. A faction within humanity's leadership began to realize the true implications of their discovery. Some, emboldened by the power they had unearthed, wanted to use the weapon to dominate the galaxy, to ensure that humanity would never again be forced to the fringes of the galaxy. But others, more cautious, feared what such unchecked power could lead to. Humanity had already been cast out once, for their potential. They could not afford to become the very thing that the Council had feared. This faction understood that the weapon was not just a key to power, it was a key to a new era, one that could either unite the galaxy or tear it apart. The weapon had the potential to bring peace, but it also had the potential to cause untold destruction. And if humanity was to wield it, they would need to understand its true purpose, its true power, and the consequences of its use. The decision was made. The weapon had to be found, not to conquer, but to secure humanity's place in the galaxy. They could not let the weapon fall into the hands of their old enemies, those who had cast them out, and who might now seek to reclaim what was rightfully humanity's. The weapon was a safeguard, a final check against the Council's power, and it had to be kept out of their reach. But in the process, humanity had to tread carefully. If they were to lead, they could not do so through fear or oppression. They had to prove that their rise wasn't just about power, it was about ensuring a future where all species could coexist, where no one would ever again be cast aside or forgotten. Just as humanity was preparing to make its first move toward the weapon's location, a chilling message arrived. The Galactic Council, or what was left of it, had learned of humanity's discovery. The artifact had not gone unnoticed. The Council's spies had long been watching humanity's rise, and now, with the threat of the weapon in human hands, they knew that they could not allow the humans to claim it. The Council feared the consequences of humanity unlocking this power. They feared the emergence of a new force in the galaxy, one that could topple everything they had built. In response, the Council dispatched a powerful fleet, the likes of which humanity had never seen before. An all-out war was on the horizon. The stakes had never been higher. As humanity's forces gathered to defend their empire and pursue the weapon, they knew that this was not just a battle for dominance. It was a battle for survival. The galaxy was about to be plunged into conflict once more, and humanity, once cast aside and forgotten, now stood at the center of it all. The question remained, would humanity rise to the challenge, or would they fall like the ancient species that had come before them? The future of the galaxy hung in the balance. The galaxy had been quiet for far too long. The whispers of a rising human power, hidden deep within the fringes of the galaxy, had reached the ears of the Galactic Council. Once they had cast humanity aside, believing that their primitive nature would never pose a real threat. But now, as the humans unearthed the artifact, an ancient, untapped weapon of unimaginable power, the Council realized the mistake they had made. In their fear, they struck first. A preemptive strike, designed to cripple humanity before they could even think of using the weapon, was launched without warning. The war had begun. The Council's fleet, a massive armada of technologically advanced ships, descended upon the human empire with crushing force. It seemed as though humanity, despite their fierce spirit and advanced technology, was destined to be overwhelmed. But the humans had something the Council hadn't anticipated, a fierce resilience that ran deep in their blood. In the opening battles, the human fleet, though outnumbered, fought with a precision and ingenuity that caught their enemies off guard. Human warships, built from decades of trial and error, outmaneuvered the Council's forces, using their knowledge of the stars and the terrain to their advantage. Their tactics were unconventional, never predictable, always adapting to their enemies' moves. The humans may have been the underdogs, but they fought with the spirit of those who had been forced to survive against impossible odds. Their warriors, from the youngest recruits to the most seasoned veterans, fought with unrelenting determination, knowing that the fate of their people was on the line. Amidst the battles, however, a more shocking revelation came to light. As humanity scrambled to defend their empire, scientists uncovered something hidden within the artifact that changed everything. It wasn't just a weapon. It was a key to a galaxy-wide network of ancient technologies, a system of interconnected relics and devices spread across the stars, each capable of reshaping entire star systems. This discovery sent shockwaves through the human leadership. The artifact, they realized, was not just a singular tool of power, it was a gateway to a long-forgotten network of technologies that could radically alter the galaxy's landscape. Whoever controlled this network would have the ability to manipulate the very fabric of the stars, to terraform planets, to create new energy sources, to bend the laws of physics itself. The true power of the artifact was far beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed. It was no longer just about survival. it was about shaping the future of the galaxy itself. With this new revelation, the stakes of the war were raised even higher. Humanity could no longer afford to simply fight for survival. They now had to fight for the future of their civilization and for the fate of the galaxy. This new weapon, this network of power, could either bring peace and prosperity to a galaxy on the brink of chaos, or it could plunge the entire galaxy into an era of unparalleled destruction. As the battles raged across countless star systems, humanity's leaders knew they could not allow the Council to control the artifact. The galaxy had been shaped by the Council's decisions for far too long, and it was time for humanity to take its place in the stars. But the path forward was not without its challenges. The war that ensued was like no other in galactic history. The human empire, despite its relatively small numbers, fought with every advantage they could muster. The battles were intense, often raging across vast expanses of space. There were daring raids on Council supply lines, moments when human forces would strike swiftly and decisively, disappearing into the void before the enemy could retaliate. On the ground, human warriors fought with an unmatched blend of courage and ingenuity, often using guerrilla tactics against the technologically superior forces of the Council. The human fleet, too, was a marvel of technological innovation ships, capable of shifting between cloaking and defensive capabilities. Fast-moving dreadnoughts that could withstand even the most devastating enemy fire. However, despite their best efforts, humanity's fight for survival was far from easy. The Council, though reeling from the unexpected resistance, was determined to crush them. But they soon realized that the human resolve was not their only obstacle. The humans had found unexpected allies, outcasts from across the galaxy who had long been oppressed or cast aside by the Council. These oppressed species, once disregarded by the powerful races that ruled the galaxy, saw humanity's fight as their fight too. Together, they formed a loose coalition, an alliance of the downtrodden and forgotten. Their contributions were vital, whether in the form of intelligence, resources, or military support. Some of these species even offered unique technological insights, helping to level the playing field against the Council's superior forces. The galaxy, it seemed, was not as unified as the Council had thought. As the war stretched on, humanity found itself becoming the unifying force that could rally those who had once been silenced. Yet, the more humanity pushed back the Council's forces, the more desperate the Council became. And in their desperation, they revealed a shocking truth. They had been manipulating other alien species into fighting humanity on their behalf. The Council, despite their vast power, lacked the resources to crush the human empire on their own. So they had subtly manipulated the politics of other species, coercing them into joining their cause with promises of power, wealth, or security. The truth was, chilling humanity had not only been fighting the Council's forces, but also the manipulated armies of other alien species, each driven by their own agendas. But this revelation came too late. The war had already reached a boiling point. As humanity's forces continued to fight back with everything they had, the true nature of the Council's plan became clear. The final battle for the weapon, for the artifact, would take place on a distant, uncharted planet, one that no one had even known existed. This planet, the coordinates for which had been hidden away in the deepest recesses of the artifact's design, was the last key to unlocking the full power of the galaxy-wide network. It was there that the true nature of the artifact would be revealed, where humanity's destiny would be determined. Whoever controlled the artifact after this final battle would control the future of the galaxy. The Council's forces were already preparing for the assault, and humanity, knowing that this would be the fight of their lives, was ready to respond. The stage was set for the ultimate showdown. The future of the galaxy now rested on a knife's edge. Would humanity, the once forgotten species, rise victorious, Or would they fall to the overwhelming might of the Galactic Council and their manipulated allies? The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the final battle was about to begin. The final battle had arrived. Humanity's forces, battered yet unyielding, pressed forward toward the heart of the ancient planet. It was a desolate world, but beneath its barren surface lay a treasure trove of forgotten alien ruins, relics of a civilization far older and more powerful than any the galaxy had ever known. The artifact's true purpose had become clear. It was not merely a weapon, but a force capable of reshaping the very fabric of reality itself. As humanity's warships descended upon the planet's surface, the ground trembled with the raw energy of ancient technologies awakening from their long slumber. The air was thick with tension as both sides prepared for the final confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The artifact, now exposed and pulsing with an otherworldly energy, seemed to beckon them all its true power now within reach. On the battlefield, the clash between humanity's forces and the Galactic Council's armies was fierce. It was not just a war of soldiers, but a war of ideologies. The Council, desperate to maintain control, fought with everything they had, knowing that the loss of the artifact would mean the loss of their grip on the galaxy. But humanity was no longer the weak, fractured species they once were. They had grown strong, unified by the trials they had faced and the hardships they had overcome. The human warriors fought not just for survival, but for the chance to carve out a future for themselves. A future where they could lead the galaxy toward something better. Yet, as the battle raged on, something strange began to happen. The artifact began to hum, resonating with an energy that no one could fully comprehend. Its power was unlike anything anyone had ever encountered. Within the human ranks, a heated debate began to unfold. Some of humanity's leaders saw the weapon as the key to their ascension, the ultimate tool to ensure their dominance over the galaxy. With this power at their fingertips, they could shape the future in their image and empire that would never again be forced into the shadows. They believed that humanity, with its resilience and ingenuity, was destined to rule the galaxy, to guide it toward a new age of progress. The galaxy, once on the brink of total collapse, had been irrevocably transformed. The artifact's power had reshaped not only the planet where it had activated, but the very foundation of the galaxy itself. As the light from the artifact slowly faded, the dust settled across the ancient ruins, leaving humanity standing at the threshold of a new era. The immense power that had once been feared now lay in their hands, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a tool for a grander purpose, a tool to rebuild and redefine the future of the galaxy. Humanity's role in the galaxy had changed forever, but the question remained: what kind of rulers would they become? The first challenge was the sheer scale of the change. The galactic power dynamics had been shattered. The council that had once ruled with an iron fist was now in disarray, its authority diminished by the chaos brought on by the artifact's activation. But where others saw an opportunity to seize power, humanity saw a chance to create something different. They recognized that with such immense power came a great responsibility. The desire for dominance that had plagued so many civilizations before them could no longer be allowed to take hold. The galaxy could not afford another cycle of oppression, fear, and war. Humanity's leaders knew that they had to build something new, something that would ensure that the mistakes of the past were never repeated. Humanity, once isolated and exiled from the galaxy, now stood as the guiding force for the future. With the artifact's technology at their disposal, humanity set to work on uniting the fractured species of the galaxy. The advanced insights from the artifact allowed them to understand the deep currents of the galaxy's history, the struggles that had torn it apart, and the potential paths toward healing. Where there had been division, humanity now offered the possibility of peace. They began the long, difficult task of mending the broken alliances, forging new connections, and ensuring that no species would again be left to suffer under the yoke of another. The first step was the formation of a new galactic council, one that was based on equality, cooperation, and mutual respect. It would no longer be a council of fear, but a council of unity, with representatives from every species, no matter their size, strength, or history. But even as humanity worked toward this new, just order, there were still factions within their own ranks that saw the artifact's power as a means of control. Some of the most influential leaders within the human empire, fueled by the belief that humanity was destined to lead with an unchallenged hand, argued for using the artifact's technology to ensure their dominance over the galaxy. They were not swayed by the ideals of peace and cooperation, seeing them as a weakness in a galaxy still riddled with conflict. The temptation to use the artifact as a means of control to cement humanity's place at the top of the galactic hierarchy was strong, and many feared that without decisive action, the galaxy would fall into chaos once again. But the majority of humanity's leadership, recognizing the grave responsibility they now bore, rejected this path. They understood that power, in its truest form, could not be wielded through fear. Instead, they chose a path of reform, one that would require time, effort, and the patience to rebuild trust. Humanity's rise to prominence had not been based solely on might, but on the ability to adapt, to change, and to learn from the mistakes of the past. They knew that the only way to ensure a lasting peace was to show the galaxy that leadership was about compassion, wisdom, and unity, not domination. The decision to use the artifact's power to uplift other civilizations and repair the damage caused by centuries of inequality marked a defining moment for humanity. It wasn't an easy path, and there were those who resisted, afraid of the unknown changes that would come with it. But the leaders of the human empire stood firm, understanding that they had the power to reshape the galaxy for the better, not for their own benefit, but for all species. They used the artifact's technology to help those who had long been oppressed, to heal the planets ravaged by war, to repair the damage caused by greed and ambition. They shared their newfound knowledge, creating a galaxy where no species was forgotten, where none would be left behind. As the new Galactic Council took shape, it became clear that this was not a galaxy of the past. This was not a galaxy ruled by the strong or the cunning, but one governed by those who had learned the value of cooperation and respect. The once divided civilizations, long locked in conflict and distrust, now stood together, working toward a common goal. Humanity's influence, once seen as a threat, was now a beacon of hope. After all, they had been exiled for centuries, denied a place among the stars. This weapon could give them the power to right that wrong and prove to the galaxy that humanity's rise was inevitable. But others in humanity's leadership saw a darker truth. They feared that wielding such immense power would only lead to another cycle of oppression and violence. The Council had cast humanity out because of their fear of what they might become. But now humanity was faced with the same temptation. If they used the weapon, would they not become what the Council had feared, a new, oppressive force that would dominate the galaxy just as the Council had done for millennia? Would they fall into the same traps of power, greed, and control that had plagued the galaxy for so long? The argument split humanity's leaders down the middle. There were those who saw the weapon as a means to ensure humanity's future, one where they would never again be cast aside, never again be considered lesser. And then there were those who argued that the weapon should be destroyed, to prevent it from falling into the wrong hands and causing untold harm. The Council, on the other hand, was in disarray. The war had fractured their once unified front. As the battles waged on, more and more species within the Council began to question their motives. Some had joined the fight against humanity out of fear, while others had been manipulated into doing so. But now, faced with the overwhelming determination and resilience of humanity, some of these species began to see that humanity's rise might not be the galaxy's destruction, but its salvation. The very thing that the Council had feared humanity's potential was what could bring balance to the galaxy. In secret, more and more Council species began to defect, offering their support to humanity's cause. They recognized that the galaxy had stagnated under the Council's rule, and perhaps it was time for something new. But even as these alliances began to shift, the fate of the artifact still hung in the balance. As the final confrontation drew near, something unexpected happened. The artifact, as if aware of the tensions around it, began to pulse with an intense, blinding light. The ground shook beneath their feet as the artifact's energy expanded outward, its power radiating across the planet. It was no longer just a key to the weapon, it was something more. Something far beyond the comprehension of any civilization in the galaxy. The battle paused, the air thick with uncertainty, as both sides stared in awe at the artifact's awakening. The human leaders, the Council's commanders, and even the alien species who had defected watched in stunned silence as the artifact seemed to come alive. It was no longer something to be wielded, it was a force in its own right. Then, in an instant, the artifact activated on its own. The sky above the battlefield flickered as if reality itself was bending, twisting under the weight of the artifact's power. A shockwave of energy spread across the planet, not destructive, but transformative. The ruins around them began to shift, reconfiguring themselves, as though the artifact was unlocking the secrets of the galaxy itself. It was a force that could not be controlled, not by the Council, not by humanity, not by anyone. The artifact revealed its true purpose not to serve any species, not to be used as a weapon or a tool of domination. It was a force that sought to transform the galaxy into something entirely new, something beyond the comprehension of any current civilization. A new reality was being born, and humanity stood at the precipice of it. The decision now lay with humanity. The leaders of the Empire were faced with an impossible choice. Should they seize this power, lead this new era, and guide the galaxy into uncharted territory? Or should they abandon the weapon forever, leaving it to its own devices, and risk allowing the galaxy to fall back into the chaos of its past? Humanity's rise had always been driven by the desire to survive, to adapt, to innovate. But this was no longer about survival. It was about the future of the galaxy, about whether humanity would rise as the rulers of this new age, or whether they would step aside, allowing the galaxy to evolve in its own way, free from the constraints of old power structures. See artifacts. Light enveloped the planet. The galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The leaders of humanity stood in silence, the weight of their decision pressing down on them. The path forward was unclear, and the consequences of their choice would echo across the stars for centuries to come. The war, the battles, the sacrifice, it had all led to this moment. The final choice was theirs. Would humanity seize the power of the artifact and lead this new age? Or would they abandon it, allowing the galaxy to evolve in ways that no one could predict? The fate of the galaxy hung in the balance, and humanity's destiny had never been more uncertain. They had gone from exiles in the darkest corners of the galaxy to the shining example of what could be accomplished when different species set aside their differences for the greater good. But the road was not without its challenges. The galaxy's past could not be easily forgotten, and there were still forces that sought to disrupt the fragile peace that had been built. Old rivalries and wounds ran deep, and not everyone was willing to embrace the changes that humanity had introduced. Some, like the factions within humanity itself, still clung to the belief that the galaxy could only be ruled by the strong. But these voices grew quieter as time passed, drowned out by the actions of those who chose a different path. Slowly but surely, the galaxy began to heal. As humanity's leaders stood in the newly established council chamber, looking out over a united galaxy, they knew that they had accomplished something extraordinary. The artifact had not been a weapon to dominate, but a key to a new future. Humanity had risen, not just to conquer, but to build a galaxy that was truly united, a galaxy where the strengths of each species were valued, where no one would again be cast aside. The humans had come from a place of exile, of rejection, of being forgotten by the stars. Now, they had become the galaxy's greatest hope, a shining example of resilience, unity, and compassion. The final moment came as the leaders of the galaxy gathered to sign the new treaty, a testament to the collective will of the species that now called the stars home. As the signatures were added, the leaders knew that this moment would echo across time. The galaxy, once divided and fractured, had been reborn. The power of the artifact, once feared, had been used to forge a new era of peace and cooperation. The journey of humanity, from being cast out and forgotten to becoming the galaxy's beacon of hope, had proven that even the most overlooked species could rise to greatness, not through sheer might alone, but through wisdom, unity, and compassion. The galaxy was now united, a new chapter in its history written by the very species that had once been cast aside.